Hey, this is Heather at Hunt and Honey Homestead. Today we're going to freeze dry some eggs. Okay, so I'm going to pause it right there, and we whisked with the kids, and that was really fun, and it's certainly a way that you can do it, but it's best to blend the eggs and get them as emulsified as you can so that the texture remains consistent, because no matter how much you whisk it, you're still going to end up with some whites that aren't fully incorporated, and that could result in a kind of weird texture after freeze drying. And so I'm going to use my immersion blender. Now, I do recommend the immersion blender. I have family members who have tried a regular blender, and it got so aerated and frothy that they said that it took just an insanely long time for the froth to go down, and it just wasn't worth it. So I would either whisk, or if you have an immersion blender, I would use that. Choose to do one or two things. You can either pre-freeze your eggs, so you would load your trays into your freezer, pour your eggs into the trays, and then let them freeze for 24 hours and then start freeze drying. Or what I'm going to do is I'm going to let them freeze in the freeze dryer. So I've got my trays in there, I'm going to pour the eggs in the trays, and then we're going to start our cycle. Now, I will say that you do not want to fill your trays on your countertop and then carry them. It is a disaster 100% of the time. So just bring your bowl in here and fill the trays in the freeze dryer or in the freezer. Okay, so I tried to get them all filled as evenly as I could. I did just about 4 dozen, and I have the medium-sized freeze dryer. I'm gonna get my door closed. I've got the valve shut, and I'm gonna use the liquid recipe. And I am gonna run the freeze cycle, and so it'll run that, and then it'll start the freeze dry process. Now that the eggs are completely dry, we need to get them into a powder for storage, and you can do this in a blender, or I'm just going to use a potato masher in this dish, and that works just as well for me. The blender, of course, gets it finer, but I'm just not really that concerned about that. So I'm just putting my eggs in this dish and then just mashing it up until it gets to the consistency that I want it to be. Once it's powdered, the final thing to figure out is how you want to store it. If you're doing it just short term, mason jars, air sealed, I do 1 jar of that. And then I'm also going to do some in these Mylar bags. And this is better for long term storage. You put an oxygen absorber in there and it'll last for, I mean, maybe up to 30 years. So it just depends on what your goals are. These jar vacuum sealers are really nice for keeping stuff fresh short term, but obviously they still let light in, so it's not a perfect system for long-term storage, but it is super convenient. Freeze-dried eggs turn out so excellent. They taste exactly like fresh eggs, especially when scrambled. You can use them in baking. I just think it's one of the most useful things you can do with a freeze dryer. I'll put links for the freeze dryer and Mylar bags that we use in the description. And if you have any questions or if you want to chat about freeze dryers or freeze drying eggs, I'd love to do that in the comments. And I really appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much. I hope to see you in the next one.